fellas? Okay. Our two gentlemen from Boise State, Max Rice and Naje Smith. So, fellas, coming here to Sacramento, I know that Sac State and I think UC Davis have both played you guys in the past. What did you feel was the turning point, if there was one, in your season so far?
Yeah, I think maybe just that first game. We had a tough first game to our season. We opened at home. It was our only home loss of the season. I think that kind of woke us up and made us realize we all need to play together. And kind of from then on, we never lost another game at home. I think we played better team ball. And just over the course of the season, I think we grew a lot as a team. And I thought we got better from there.
Okay, folks, if you have a question, please raise your hand. And anybody out in the Zoom area, particularly in Idaho, if you want to ask a question, just simply raise your hand. Josh?
Josh Tebow with Associated Press. Max, for you, what would winning an NCAA tournament game mean for Boise?
Yeah, I think these last couple of years we've done a lot of checking off boxes that this program's never done before. And that's one of the last boxes I think would be huge for this program to check off an NCAA tournament win. I know Northwestern did that a couple of years ago, I think. I remember watching that. And that's something that has been our goal all year. And we've been locked in on that goal, and we're really close to achieving that goal. So I think it'd be huge.
Bob
Question
Beeler,
over here.
Bob Beeler, Boise State Radio Network. For both Max and Naje, you guys played in the tournament last year. Max, what did you learn, and Naje, what did you learn about being on the floor in a tournament game that made it different, that you'll be more ready for this time?
I think it's kind of like your first time going to a dance. You know, you're a little nervous, kind of shaking, and then the second time going, you kind of know what to expect, and you feel like you have your feet in your shoes, and that you can kind of take it slow at the gate, because I feel like we were definitely very anxious that first year. Like, the lights seemed so much brighter, but now I feel like we've definitely composed and ready to play.
Yeah, kind of same thing Naje said. You just have a more of a calm feel about you, I feel like. It's kind of the same thing what we did in our Mountain West tournament. We won that, and then the next year we felt more confident going into it. But I think it's just super fun to experience something like this, just having these open practices and watching all these teams get ready for this event. I think we're just super blessed and fortunate to be here.
Question up front.
Brady Frederick with KTVB. A question for Naje. Coming to the final stretch of your Boise State career, what does it mean to you to be here, and how do you feel spending it on the big stage of March Madness?
Oh, it means a lot to me to get this opportunity to kind of make a legacy for myself and kind of leave my footprint at Boise State University. And as Max said earlier, just kind of checking off boxes. And I think this would be a huge one to kind of put me as one of the greats at Boise State if we can win a game.
Brennan Jones, Idaho News 6. Max, you talked about how dominant you guys were at home. You've had a couple big moments at the X, so has Naje. Now that you guys are in that neutral arena and you have that experience from last year, what do you guys need to do to kind of replicate what you guys can do at Extra Mile?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like our points per game is way up at Extra Mile, stuff like that. We just play better there. So trying to find a way to just channel off our fans and get that energy going. And then just play with a lot of confidence and play together, I think. We've had a couple good games on neutral sites this year too. So, but yeah, just I think playing as a team, not straying away from what has made us good this year is big and is a key to us playing good tomorrow. So, but yeah, we have played really good at the X this year too. So.
Dave Matter with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Guys, Utah State is here playing Missouri tomorrow. You're familiar with them, obviously. What advice could you give Missouri? Never played Utah State before, knowing what you guys know playing the Aggies.
No comment.
Just as far as their strengths, weaknesses, schemes.
Naje, you want?
Don't let them shoot.
A question for both of you guys. Boo Buie has been a great player for Northwestern this year. Now that you've seen some tape, what are the challenges he brings?
He's definitely a great competitor and a great player with a strong right hand, so it's definitely be a challenge for us to kind of keep him out of the box and kind of limit the way that he can make plays for other people.
Yeah, I think he does a great job just running their team. He can score his, but then he can also get others involved. Like Naje said, he's really good going right, so try to take that away and just try to contain him the best you can.
Yep.
Rachel Roberts with Idaho Statesman. This question's for Naje. When people turn on the TV tomorrow night, regardless of what happens, what do you want them to remember about Boise State?
That we play hard and that we play together and that we are a fun team to watch.
Max, I think it was after that San Diego State game, you talked about how, you got to spend that moment with your best friend. You guys are now up on the podium for, a second year in a row here at March Madness. How are you trying to appreciate these last few moments that you guys get to play together?
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times just throughout the season and now being here, but we knew we didn't want to go out sad. We knew we wanted to go out or at least finish up our careers together in March Madness, and we're doing that, so that's a dream come true for us. And we grew up playing AAU together, and Naje's always been a great friend of mine, so just to be able to be on the biggest stage in these last couple games together is awesome, and we want to leave it all out there on the court and try to make a run.
Naje, yeah.
It's funny because he's always told me, I'm going to get you to Boise State, I'm going to get you there. And I was like, oh, yeah, to the journey. And then finally seeing it all kind of unfold, I just realized he's kind of a mastermind.
Bob?
You guys play really good defense, and so does Northwestern. So what does Northwestern do that kind of reminds them of you on defense, and what might be a little bit different about their defense?
They definitely got good size, and they rotate really well, which I think is a lot like us, how they pack the paint and then get out to contest. And one thing that is definitely going to be a challenge for us that we haven't seen a lot in the Mouse West is how they hedge ball screens. So that will be a challenge for us to overcome.
Yeah, I think kind of the challenges that we're going to face is how they hedge, but then they're going to face how we down ball screens. I think both of those are kind of new to both programs just because the Big Ten doesn't need to down ball screens because of how good their bigs are, how big their bigs are. So that might pose an interesting defensive game for both of us. So I think it's going to definitely be a rock fight and probably in the 50s or 60s. But that's what we're used to, and I think that's what they're used to. So it's kind of a perfect matchup for both teams.
Any other questions? One up front.
Max, earlier today, Coach Collins had great praise for your game and the challenges you're going to bring Northwestern. What does it mean to you to have put the work in to be in this position where you're, a big threat to one of the premier teams in the country?
Yeah, I think that just shows dedication to the grind and not giving up or transferring when things aren't going your way. It's a really common thing nowadays that people just go to the portal when they're not getting the minutes they want or just not getting everything they were promised right away. And it was definitely difficult at times just trying to get through that grind. But obviously it's paying off for me in big ways now. And I'm really glad I stuck with it and just kept going. And Northwestern's a great team. I'm excited to get to battle with them tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Coach Rice will be joining us shortly.
right, working media, how we doing? Here we go.
Okay, we have Coach Leon Rice with us, and over the past 2 seasons, he has led the Broncos to a 51-17 overall record. Leon's been the head coach at Boise State since 2010, and his teams have won at least 20 games 10 different times. Coach, welcome to Sacramento. I'll ask you the same question that I've asked a few of the coaches up here. Was there any particular time during the season that you felt you were significantly improved over the beginning of the year?
I think it happened in stages for us. There were some milestone victories along the way that you're like, okay, this is pretty special. We went to St. Louis and won in a hostile environment against a really, really good team, really well-coached team. And then, then we went down to Texas and played Texas A&M in Dickies Arena and won that game. And, you started to see a unique ability in the team as far as being able to win games against good teams. And, there was a lot of growth through the month of November, but I think those games in December really showed that, if you can compete in those environments and against that quality of opponent, you got something.
Okay, if you have a question for Coach Rice, please raise your hand, and if there's anybody in the Zoom universe who wants to also ask, raise your hand as well.
He's got a question.
First question.
Rachel?
I've got a mic, Coach.
Oh.
I'll go for the
I didn't
first one,
see it.
Coach. Second year in a row, you're in the tournament. You've got all 5 starters that played significant minutes last year. This week, leading up to it, last night, today, anything you see in the demeanor that feels different about this year's squad than last year's?
Yeah, because this is such an event and such a destination for teams to want to get to that maybe some of the first time I've seen this over the years is that the first time players get there, it's like getting to the Super Bowl for the first time. You can get blasted out of there because you're looking around a lot, and there's a lot to look at. It's a great event, and it's so well done, and so but when you get there multiple times, and when players get experience of it, they understand that you strip all this other stuff away, that your process is the same, and what you need to do to control that is the same, and then, playing the game of basketball is the same. So that kind of gets, that stuff, external stuff gets stripped away the more times you get to it, and then it becomes playing basketball more. And, I thought our guys did a good job last year of dealing with it, but it does help to have guys that have been there before.
Rachel Roberts with Idaho Statesman. I asked the guys the same question, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say. When people tune in on Thursday, regardless of what happens, what do you want them to remember about Boise State?
That's a good question, Rachel. This team has been special, and their accomplishments have been, worthy of being remembered for a long, long time. And we've put some moments, like that San Diego State game in Boise, and you can list a whole bunch of them, but their accomplishments and the way they played together and the way they just had such a steely resolve. They were so tough. They always responded the right way, and they just battled every second they were out there. And they, like I said, they were a team that was a true team that was better than the sum of their parts. Good talent, great team.
Josh Sheba with Associated Press. Leon, you guys have gotten some contributions from a couple super seniors. Just what kind of impact have they had on you, and just how has that sort of helped you guys having that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and being able to have guys that have been through a lot, been together a long time, they just know what they're doing, and that's a big motivator in why we want to keep playing. These guys have been in my lives for a long time. Naje's been in my life since he was a little kid. Tyson's been around forever. Shave, I've known him for 6 or 7 years and got to coach him for a long time. And Lucas has been with us for a while. We don't want to say goodbye to those guys, and that's a motivator. And it's a motivator for this team because they want to keep playing together. This team's really connected, and you know, it's connected because of those veterans and because of those super seniors and because of the guys, you know, the high character guys that we have in this program.
Brady Frederick with KTVB. Coach, you guys have prided yourselves on playing great defense this entire season. Do you like the challenge of playing a team in the first round that has similarities in that sense? And without giving anything away, how do you feel you match up with them?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, I think. You know, when you look at Northwestern, I think you looked at them early in the year and you saw what they lost from last year's team. And I think it's similar to our situation. We lost 3 of the best players in the history of our school and conference and those kind of things. And I think a lot of people didn't have much, you know, expectations for us and this group. And, you know, we just got better and better. And they're a team with a similar story, I think, where, you know, they end up coach of the year, defense player of the year, number 2 seed in the Big Ten. I mean, it was impressive what they've done. And so I think there is a lot of similarities that way, no doubt.
Brendan Jones, Idaho News 6. You talked about knowing Naje for a long time, and Max and he were just up here talking about their friendship.
Yeah.
How have you seen that relationship develop now that, you know, maybe their playing days are numbered?
Because it's always been beyond their playing, too, so that's what's been really neat. Naje's a special person, and he and Max have had a great bond over the years. They've played a lot of games together and a lot of basketball together, and, you know, they're 2 players that just keep getting better. And, you know, Naje is just coming into his own. I wish I could have him another year. He's just, but he's just such a great personality for this team. Because of the person he is. He's authentic, he's genuine. What you see is Naje, and he comes with such a positive attitude. You know, you go through some ups and downs throughout the year, and Naje affects everybody in the room in a positive way when you're in your downs, and those guys are, you know, he's the kind of kid that, you know, if you're having a bad day, you walk in the practice gym and you're like, great, I get to see Naje today. And those guys are priceless.
Coach Rice, again, Bob Beeler, Bronco Radio Network. Defense on both sides looks to be outstanding. You look at the numbers. So I asked Coach Collins this, where are the points going to come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, that's sometimes those games surprise you. You never know, you know. But they've got great players that are great offensive players, too. I mean, I think that might be an undervalued thing. You know, you watch these guys as individuals and the stuff they've been able to do. You know, they got guys that can put up numbers. We got guys that can put up numbers, and it'll be an interesting thing to watch, Bob. I can't tell you.
BJ Rains, Bronco Nation News. Coach, the last couple of years, you guys have checked so many boxes in terms of the history of this program, and there's obviously one left, you know, winning that first game. Just for this group, what would it mean for you, and what do you think it would mean for this group to be the one to accomplish that?
Well, I think I think for our fans, it'd be huge, you know. This is a hard tournament to win games in. You know, we're playing, like I said, the number 2 team in the Big Ten. And, you know, they have the number 1 team in the nation in that conference. They have the great teams in that conference, obviously. And for them to accomplish what they accomplished, obviously, proof is in the pudding. They're a great basketball team. So you get in here, it's tough sledding, but it would mean so much for our fans. It would mean, you know, like I said, I want it so bad for our players to keep them going. I want to keep this group together as long as I can keep this group together, and you can't do that if the moment you lose, then it's done, and there's a finality to it that I don't want to see, and they don't want to see. So I think that's my biggest motivator, not you know, they had no control over the past, and we don't have control over the past anymore. And those are milestones, though, and those are great things to accomplish, but so we'd love to do it. No doubt.
Jay Tuss, KTVB. Leon, Comes to Northwestern, 65 is a magic number for them. If opponents hit that and above, Northwestern's only 1-10. If they hold them below that, they're 20-1. What do you expect tomorrow in terms of this defensive battle? And then more importantly, last year you kind of labeled these brick fights. How did your team kind of lean into these types of games and somehow it brought out the best in them?
Yeah, I mean, this team that we have this year is different than last year's a little bit. Last year's, we won a game 42-37 on the road. In basketball history, you got to go back to when they had to stop the game and get the ball out of the peach bucket to see a game like that. But we didn't care. Those guys didn't care about that. And this team is different in a way that we haven't had as many of those, maybe, but they've had games where they just find ways, and this may be that. The score, the magic number of 65. I've seen that. I hear that. I get that. I just think it's a team that. It's a game that, it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game, no doubt about it. And two teams that have a lot of similarities, like I said, and it's just. My group has found ways to get that done, and the ways haven't been as planned. Take that UNLV game, for example, but they find ways. And I think you just got to do that in a tournament like this, in a game like this.
Coach, I'm doing something on the scout team. What for those guys that never get to play much, and don't know if you're going to do the little 2-on-2 game at the end today or not, but just in general, for all the time that Sam and Cade and a lot of those guys put in and never really get to see the floor much, how much do they still mean to the team?
No doubt, and that's and the team, the guys that are playing, appreciate that, and that's the cool thing about our culture. That was Naje 3 years ago, and now look at it. And so they know there's a path for their success. There's a path and a plan, and they know their job's important. It's in our culture book about, you become a star in your role. Well, that's how you change your role. And they didn't, sometimes guys get putting out those roles. That wasn't their dream when they were wanting to become a college basketball player, to be the best scout team player in the history of but they take that kind of pride in it. And whatever it takes to do their job, we've had guys that they're sick and they show up to do their job, because it means so much to them to do it well. And, that's a big part of our culture, big part of our program, because their jobs are so important, and there's no job that's too small for those kind of guys, and they take pride in that and make a difference for us. They make a huge difference for us. The stories I could tell you about the stuff they do throughout the year to make us better, and, we were playing somebody that was left-handed, and I go in there and I see some of the scout team guys working on being able to shoot the ball left-handed. Come on, that's going above and beyond. So they just, like I said, it's pretty cool when you have a culture like that, and when you have unselfish guys like that, and they know how much they're valued, because those starters and those other guys appreciate them, and they've told them that.
JTS KTVB. Leon just talked to Buzo, and he said, before today's practice, he's going to take a moment just to soak it in, because not everybody gets to do this and then just kind of go to work. But how do you walk that fine line of making sure your guys do kind of look around for a moment, realize what they've achieved, but also having that game tomorrow that you want to go win?
Absolutely, because we celebrate those things, and we along the way, and but these guys know what the process entails, and they know how to do their job in that process, and that they get it, and so nothing's different with this. But yeah, I always want them to look around. I always want them to enjoy it. Our program's about joy and passion and fun and togetherness, and you put all those things together, and that's what equals success for us, and that's what so nothing's different.
Any other questions for Coach Rice? Okay.
That's it.
Coach, thank you.
All right. Well, I think that reporter back there had one. What was yours? What's your question? Oh, yeah. What did he say?
No.
Next question. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Coach. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.